I have some awesome updates in EEVEE production suite. So here you see the EEVEE Express add-on. The EEVEE production suite is the EEVEE Express add-on and the Material mode. What's new is this. That is procedural shaders, and you see a lot of categories. If you click on one category, like marble, you click on that one, you see all procedural materials. That's really awesome. So let's say we add something into the scene. I add here the mesh. Let's say we add the cylinder, the wrap set one. I like to right click on it, I set origin to free cursor, and then I can move like that. And now I press G and then shift set, so I can move that thing around over here like that. So that's very easy. And I want to shade it smooth, but I do that with no, was that hard ups? Yes. So now I give it a material. For example, I give it so I have this material selected, and then I give it, for example, marble 1. So that works perfect. It is a bit light into the scene, so I can select that one, G, shift set, and I can move it to a little bit of that place. That. So this is actually the whole material. Very nice. So, but that's just one of the materials. So you see here all these categories like tiling, surface, stucco, rubber, anti-slip. For example, if you click on that, you get loads of, and these are actually quite key. Look at that. So you select that object, and I love this because it has a little bit of subsurface, and the materials are easily adjustable. So this is just one node group. So yeah, and here you see the subsurface. So this is much easier to adjust than what we have usually. Usually you will see something like this. So you see the principled BSDF, and then you have to set the subsurface, the color, the radius. So, but yeah, I brought that back to just one slider and what makes the most common sense. So that's pretty handy, and you can make like a match with this. So well, let's go to the more category. Because, oh, there's the camera. I'm looking at my other screen. Camera's over there. All right. So you have tiling. Let's look at that. Tiling. That's really also cute. So let's shift right click. I add a plane, shift A, M, E, move it a tiny bit up, so grab and then shift and make it a bit smaller like that. Now, so I will press Ctrl A to scale it, and then I go to my tiling category, and there you see a lot of tiles. Let's try out a thing. This one is nice, let's try it. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Maybe this one. That's pretty good, but it's very light into this. And that point is a little bit light. Let's check if I can set the color management. Maybe it's just very bright over there. Let's grab. Oh, I have to select the plane, grab X. Go to a dark place over here. And it looks very nice. So that is semi-procedural. So another category. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to bricks. So you see all kinds of procedural bricks. So bricks agency, and looks kind of cute for procedural. Bricks, but you can do a lot of more. You can, for example, if you go to the node group, you see that there is a procedural brick texture, And you have a bricks color, you can change the colors of the bricks like that. So, and these are like samples of real bricks. Those are good albedo colors, or reliable colors for bricks. Then, yeah, you can check all these kinds of colors like that. So, and you can set the scaling and so on. And here, this is the far shot. I use this a lot. Oh, there's the camera. I always forget it. So, I use far shot a lot to bring some imperfections or discolorations to the material, because here this is bricks. Yeah, you see some effects like that, but let's go over here. If I bump this up, you see more discoloration and texture. Now it's not that good because you see some purple, but you see the effect of it now, what you can do with that. So I just do it slightly like that. You can also adjust the saturation, you can scale that one. And it is a subtle effect, but let's bring this back to 25, let's try it. So, things like that. You can bring a lot of variation to the material. So that I call that as to the materials look very sterile. When you give it some variation in the hue, saturation and value, then it looks less sterile, because I think most materials, I think something, yeah, it's hard to see. I want to give an example, but here it is. So I think this material has, it's not super red, it has variations, if you look at it. Anyways, I don't want to hold you up with that, but let's check some other things. So we have checkers here. I can go to checkers over there. Now we got another material. So it has it's doing the shaders compilation, and you see that this is a fabric. So there's a fabric, and you can set here the checker. So if you have a cloth simulation and you want to make a towel to the dishes like that, you can do this. So you can set the colors and multiply the scale, so you see something like you have here a square here, and that's a 3x3. So that's this multiplied 3. So if you press 6, then it got this square has a 6 things, and then you can scale it like that. You can change the colors. So you can make a lot of combination with that, and you see that these are building blocks. These are building blocks because this node group is for the checkers, and this node group is for the fabric. You can do all other things. So I will discuss that later. That is part of the material nodes addon. So we are here in the shader editor. I press Shift A, and here you see the material nodes addon, and you see here all kinds of building blocks to make your own shader. I can also press N, and I will open up this a little bit more, and then I see here all the building blocks. You can compose your own material. So we had the checkers and the fabric. So what if instead of the fabric we are going to use carpet, for example, or we are going to use anti-slip rubber? Let's try that. So we get that anti-slip rubber at the shader. So we get this node group over here, and then I see the checkers plus. I'm going to put that in color over here, and also in the color over there, I guess. And then let's bump this to that. So we can delete that fabric. Now we have the anti-slip rubber. It takes a little bit more I'll play with that. I just want to show it quickly. So let's add color, use saturation, plug that in 1 and put 1 a little bit lower. Like that's how I have variations in the color. So we see something like that, and we can play around with this mix. Scale a bit high. That. So you can do a lot of stuff with that. You can combine all these node groups to make your own material. Let's go back to the. This is called the Material Presets Addon. That's this. So you see all these categories, and you click an object in the scene. You click a category, like let's go to metals. Go to metals over here, and let's check here the metal grid 11. That's quite fun. So we can check that. There is a shaders compilation. We select this object, and then we see here two node groups. Sorry, and that's quite fun because this works on this distorting the UV coordinates, and that is really kind of quite different. You can make all kinds of combinations. You see that? Oh, that's super cool. So what we have here, actually, so we have here, you see the EEVEE Express Addon, that's to make the light setup here in the scene. For the backdrop and some light rigs, you can control the smoke, additional lights, and you can set the render settings. You can make the indirect light, and that's the need for EEVEE. You have access to the color management right away because this settings color management is far away, so you have to go first to the property panel, color management, and then you see that there. And here in the EEVEE Express Addon you have everything at hand. And for example, if you go to camera settings, you press lock to view, and look at that. So that's really awesome. Normally you have to go here to view, you have to think what tab is that again, and then look to camera to view, you have to click all the way there. But no need anymore, so we have the camera settings, color management, and this button, render settings. The EEVEE Express knows the best render settings for EEVEE. It will set the best settings. I got these settings from Eric Klein and some others, so I looked that up, and it took me quite a while, so I've got different render settings, and I found out render settings 1 works best for animations like that. So ambient occlusion, I don't use that too much because it's a screen space effect, and it's not really good for animation, so just use a little bit. And then this is the best setting for screen space reflections. But that's not all. You see here those lights, you see those lights over here, and there are a lot of settings for the lights. You have shadow, clip down, bias, distance bias, contact shadows, and thickness, and all those settings. And also if you go to the irradiance volume, that is like a probe, that needs also the right settings. Irradiance volume. So this is the irradiance volume, has also a lot of settings, and by default those settings are not the very best for EEVEE. So I collected all those settings over here, and then if you press that button, then you are done. So all you have to do is have an object in your scene, like let's say you have an asset. You go here to add to scene, click one of the thumbnails, and it will add a backdrop and this viewport light. So that's for the ambient light, that you have nice shadows, not that dark. And these lights are called bouncing light around the scene, like that. Then you have the 3-point light, and the 3-point light, that is more to highlight your asset, so you can that's really for your asset, to light up your asset. For example, if I go to the 3-point light, I click on key and then I can set here that light over here. So maybe I put a bit lower, and then the backlight I click on here, like that. Maybe I like it a bit more like this. You can change the color. And then the fill light, you see here exactly what light that is. You see 3 lights, that's 3-point light, the fill light, and you can adjust it. I think maybe I like it more like this. So let's play with the colors like that. Maybe. Let me see here, go for a bit orange, this is like that. So let's go back over here. And now we have a little bit better lighting. Let's check this back. So we are at the grid, it looks a bit better now. Now let's continue with this new feature, because that is really awesome. So we have the procedure shaders. Oh, amazing. This is all these categories, and I couldn't find out how to code it, but I got help from Iyad Ahmed, and he helped me with coding. I'm super happy with that. So Metal Red Artist. Let's try the material shaders compilation. So let's try that material. So select that object and Metal Red Artist. Alright. So we got now that material. Let's try another one. I like where's my favorite? Here, Platinum Animals. That's really nice material to work with and to model. Let me see. Yeah, this is really cool. So if you model is not good, let's apply. Go here to the modifiers. I do weight modifier, and voila. Weighted normal is doing magic sometimes. But if you model, if you work with box cutter or something, this feels good to use this material. It's just nice. And you see the material, you see there are imperfections like that. So if we go to the shader editor, we have here the pattern and mass. You can add, if you press Shift A, you see material nodes, and that's all part of the EEVEE Express Addon. And you can add masks, you can combine all those node groups. For example, I can put something here in the color I want. Now let's do that. So I go over here, so and I press N. If I press N, I see here all those building blocks. So let's add that metal grid again. Add shader. And now this time I'm going to plug this in over here. So that means I will get a metal grid pattern into the platinum shader. Simple, super awesome, really. So, and you see, yeah, this is distorting the UV. So stretch Y, and you can make all kinds of patterns with it. Let's try. Yeah, metallic is not working because we are only outputting the color into there. So that means we can only work with this stretch, line thickness, fine tune like that. But if we want to use the bump of this one, so then we put the normal into the other one. So it's like a building block like that. Hey, Iyad Ahmed. Hi there, how are you? So now we see we have the bump of that grid right into there. So that really works awesome. And we can bump up that bump strength like that. So you see that here are two building blocks, and you can connect them. You can also connect them differently. So let's go crazy. So I press Control, I believe that is, no? What was the shortcut again for? I forgot what it was. Let's do that manually. So I disconnect here everything. I got shaders compilation. My CPU is a bit slow, but let's go over here. And I turn it the other way around. So I got the material nodes. My material will get black, shader compilation. So, and I go over here. And so I put this the other way around. So I got now here the platinum. And let's put this in as mask over there. And then I plug this in over here. So what I mean is you got loads of building blocks, and you can put the building block, you can just combine them, it doesn't matter what you do. So there is no order, you can just combine patterns like that. Because all building blocks, they have shader output, you can use them as a shader, you can only output the color. And if you want to bump from a normal, you plug one bump from, yeah, this is an old one, but in the new one you see here, normal, you can plug normal then into the normal, so you get the bump from this one into that. A long story, but let's see, I don't see anything in the chat. Yeah, I see Iyad Ahmed in the chat, hi. So that's done. Now let's go back to that. So we got loads of materials over here. I believe it's 156 plus. I like also the stucco material. Let's go over here. We have this object selected. I click on that and click on stucco. Look at that. Yeah. This looks like stucco. And look here. Oh yeah, well, my memory is 1.13 gig, but if you start a new scene, you just add a cube, a backdrop, and a few of these materials. You will see, and that you have just like 100 MB or something. So doesn't use much memory. Yeah, looks good, huh? Looks super duper. So the benefit of procedural materials, there are quite some benefits. There is also one downside of procedural materials. I will tell you about it. So, procedural materials, you see I have loaded quite some materials over here. My memory is a little bit higher at the moment, but normally you have something like for this kind of scene, just 100 MB memory here. I think that's RAM memory. So that means that you can use much more geometry. So if you have a scene with loads of geometry and you have no memory left to load 4K textures per object, wow, then your RAM memory is going. You need a lot of RAM memory. So I have, I believe, 16 gig, and sometimes often I don't have enough RAM memory. So that's benefit of procedural materials. They don't use a lot of RAM memory, and they are also fully customizable. Let's go to the tiles. So I fixed the tiles that was from the tiling over here. So I go back over. I think I still have it here in my. So let's delete one. I have the tiles over there. Alright, so we have here the tiles. So they are fully customizable, and that means you see that I have here, this is a little bit orange and the lines are white. And if I click on that one, I only adjust the lines of that, and I can do a lot of things. As I said, I will show you. This is really amazing. So I go to the Musgrave wave mix. and I add this shader over here. So then I have this color here, over here, this color, but I see this looks too sterile. I want to make more variation on that. So what I do is I add a new pattern like that. I choose one. Then I have the Musgrave Wave Mix, and then I copy this color and also over here, but I change this color a little bit like that. And then the output color, I plug that over here. Now we will get a shaders compilation. As I said, my CPU is a bit slow. I have to go back to my Twitch. Where am I? Oh yeah. I'm still streaming. That looks good. Hey, wow. And look here at that. So we see now we have this. That's really awesome. Oh, no. So we can make a quite subtle thing. Let's scale the Musgrave, I think. Let's scale. So we see now subtle. Let's add a little bit more like that. So maybe the other one. Oh yeah. Like so you can play with the scales. Scale down. Scale it down like that. And also scale this. No, this one up and that one down, I suppose. More down. Like that, and see, you can go on and on and on. But for example, when I say, oh yeah, that's nice. Now I have variation, but I still see here this part that is still looks too sterile. You can go on. You add here another one. Let's go another one. So we add something like. Let me see. Runway wave diff. So I add shader, add that one, and then I copy that color over here. So I copy also that one over here, but I change this one slightly. Let's change this more saturated, maybe slightly different hue. Like that. So plug the color over there, and then we got the shaders compilation. Because my CPU is very old, I had a mining rig. This was a mining rig, but I don't like mining. I like more creating a 3D. So, and if you go over here, you see even more variation. So you can go on and on. Now there is. I want to continue with the benefits of procedural materials. So here you see we didn't use UV. So there is no. You don't see repetition, but you see some kind of pattern that comes back all the time, but you don't see that tiling effect textures have. Also, that one. So there is no tiling effect. For example, this pattern is not coming back anywhere. So that's very good. That's a very huge benefit of procedural materials. No UVs, and yeah, we can also do a semi-procedural. That's this. So you see these tiles. These tiles are textures. So we go somewhere here, tiles. If you open this node group, you see two textures, and you can replace them. But those are tiles here. You want repetitive pattern, right? So, but then the procedural part is adding that grunge or noise or wear. And you have infinite resolution. Let's go. So we have that one, and if this was a texture, you would start to see pixels, but we are not seeing pixels. So that's completely different than working with textures. So that's infinite resolution, and it doesn't use much more memory, more RAM. So you can create your own materials with all these node blocks, and here that's a new update. You see marble, lead, or glass. I have to show you the glass filter paper, fake leather. Look at that, fake leather, and have here fabric, all kinds of fabric. This one is cute. You should check it out. Fabric red satin free. That's a really nice, and there is one a dirty one. I believe that's fabric organic pattern. Check that out. And then we have checkers, we showed you that, and we have some effects like this. A bit special effects, so that's a bit strange. That's ambient occlusion. It's with emission or something. Anyway, and this is also my favorite. This is kind of a shader I like to use for surfaces, all kinds of surfaces, like a desk and kitchen, etc. This works perfect. And if you load, for example, this one, let's try. Well, we have here a bit rather scene. I think I like this color combination over here. Let me see. No, yeah, this one. So I got the shader completion. I have to go back. Okay. I checked my chat for a while. So here we have now this one. If I press Alt D or Shift D, you see that this also color, but a variation, one color out of that pattern. So that also nice. So if you want to fill your scene and you want to look for a pattern, a color palette, you can use that, and you can go click that object, then you go to the shader editor, and here you see all kinds of colors from movies. What I did was I like Tim Burton. Tim Burton has really nice color combinations. It looks like Tim Burton has something in his mind, and he has something in his mind, and he says, "That's what I want that people see on the screen." Well, it looks like as if I'm looking at a painting. So anyway, I love his color combination. I checked his best scenes from movies. Not all are from Tim Burton, but a lot of these. And Geisha, oh, I love that color combination. So if you go to Geisha, you find these colors in a Geisha movie, and it works. I mean, there is kind of a harmony in the color combination, and I was quite careful in picking colors. So yeah, that's really nice. So that is the big update for the EEVEE production suite. So if you're curious about the glass, we have here also a lot. I select object. I'm going to glass. Wait, so this A, B, C, you have glass over there. Then I see I have quite some glass. Let's go first to the glass regular. Wow, and works amazing. This is awesome. See, there are many problems with glass, but this works. Or if I want another one, I want like a glass effect, glass, a dirty glass. Let's check that one. So yeah, you have a bit wobbly glass. You have to adjust it a bit, but because I'm still not happy with normals in EEVEE when it's from procedural shaders. But if you adjust it, then you get a nice thing. So what I will do is bump strength. I can change the roughness. you can change with, play with all these settings. You can try out all these glass materials, car paint, everything. Alright, so that is the update. I was talking still about the benefits of procedural materials. We have seen that, and it is compatible with the Fluent Materializer add-on. I have the Fluent Materializer add-on, but I don't have it right here at hand, but you can combine those node groups, you can plug these in, you can combine those. Another one, I forgot. Wait, let's go back first to the benefits of procedural materials. We had all that. We had no UVs, customizable, infinite resolution, create your own materials with the building blocks, and it saves memory. But there is a downside. You see that when I load procedural materials, you see that my shader compilation is working, and the more complex the shader is, longer it takes for the CPU to do the shader compilation. And if you have loads of procedural materials in your scene, now it's okay. So I have quite some materials here. But if you use really a lot, you will notice that the viewport starts to lag. I think that's because your CPU, I think, needs to calculate something with the shaders in the 3D viewport. Not sure how that works, but that's what I noticed. Okay. So that's the downside, but you can bake these materials. So let's say I go over here. So there are some, you see the material nodes over here, and you can bake it. So let's say I want to bake this. Now I have to think. I forgot. Let's go over here. So, and the material nodes. So I think I have to click on Ctrl J. Now I forgot the shortcut for Bake Wrangler. What was that again? Oh, I just forgot what it was. But anyway, you can add a shader like that, emission shader, plug that in here, then you can plug that in. Oh no, what am I doing? What am I doing? Alright. Yeah, anyway, you can bake your textures. You can bake it and then into textures, and then you work with textures. And if you have those textures, so you have the principled BSDF. So shader, what is it? Principled BSDF. So you plug here the shaders in, you diffuse in this one, and then you plug in the roughness, that's all you need, and the normal. So you only need 3 things. You need base color, that's diffuse. You need the roughness and the normal map, or sometimes you need metallic. So then you have then 3 textures. And then you can remove all these procedural shaders, and then you have a better 3D view performance, and you can then use your material in game engine. That's also a downside of procedural materials. I think you cannot use them in a game engine. So with procedural materials, you can loads of benefits. But at the end, you want to bake it in PBR materials. That's what I want to say. So next, we had that material nodes add-on. We talked about the updates, and now I show you some, and that's really awesome as well. So this is the EEVEE Express add-on. And we talked about that. So we can add things to scene, all those settings like that. We have some additional things like smoke and compositor nodes, also important. And then we can control our lights with the controls over here. I can control the smoke, additional lights and render settings, I talked about that. Color management, I talked about that as well. Camera settings, that's also very handy. There's one thing I forgot, so if you are going over here, and let me go to the camera, I go to the camera over here, I remove the depth of field, and I remove that one. So let's say I go over here, I go lock to view, hold on, unlock to view, press 0 on my keypad, zoom a bit out, so lock to view. So let's say I want to look at this object, select the object, press dot on the numeric keypad, unlock the view. And now I want to use depth of field, so I shift, right click, and there I have my 3D cursor, and I click add depth of field. Look what happens. So this is my camera, right? My camera, you see depth of field. So I have my cursor here, I click depth of field, and there you see. Here now this is getting blurred, this is the focus. So that really works out really awesome. So that's pretty handy. So I press random. Let me check the chat. Maybe there's someone in the chat. I'm not so familiar with Twitch. Actually. Wow, that looks really super. Look at that. We could put it in the cinema. I'm sorry, I'm very enthusiastic. Very enthusiastic about that. So, wow, I love this. I'm going to save this actually. So I go to compositing, and now I'm going to show you also the compositor node. So you see here, this is the render. Let's get rid of that. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. So this is your render. I always like to use the waveform over here because sometimes I don't trust my eyes. But this one helps me a little bit to indicate what I see. Not that I trust this 100%, but it gives me some reference. So maybe. So I see there's looks quite good, but when I look at the picture myself, I think that looks quite dark. So I go to the properties panel, go to color management, and there I bump up a little bit the exposure. I think that's really nice. So I go here, zoom in a bit, smaller like that. Actually, I like more that darker somehow. Oh, very high contrast. Okay, now I want to show you compositing nodes. Compositing nodes, press Shift A, NMS Compass nodes, and here we see this is a super awesome node group. This, I got this from Troy's Vodka. Troy's, you see, there's a car set. You see here we have contrast settings. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 settings. We can, but those are not staplers. Let's click on none and let's put this back in here. So this means 0.80. 0.80, that means that is mid-gray. Mid-gray is somewhere over here, right there. Over there. So that means this is contrast, and that means we are pushing the values around that mid-gray. So this mid-gray, and then we are pushing those values over there. Without that node, there is something wrong with the contrast node plan of the built-in one. Doesn't have that midpoint and mid-gray. It has a midpoint somewhere else. Anyway, but this gives you staplers. Here you can set this contrast, but you're not limited to these 6 looks, and it works exactly the same. And you see that this, if you look at that, here that's expanding, right on. If we I show you a difference. Let's go to the color. We go to brightness contrast, and let's use that one. I press M. So I'm not using that, but now I'm going to use contrast. You see what happens here in the waveform. That's not correct. You see, that has the wrong midpoint. You see, a midpoint is somewhere completely wrong. See, that midpoint is, I cannot read, but I think this is 0.8. So this contrast now, that is, I don't know, but I think it's not good. But this one, if you use that one, you'll see, if you put the, oh yeah, you cannot put this into minus, but see, that works much better. See, you're pushing the values in the mid-grade. Anyway, there are much more compositing nodes. So, animus compos nodes, you can put in a frame. I like that. I like to put a frame. I use this mostly at the end, so we have, let's put this back a little bit like that. Then you see here a little bit of frame. I like that effect because, yeah, I don't know, I just like that effect. You can put it completely dark, but I like the effect of the frame. So, and it's a little bit transparent. Like that. Press Shift A, let's look at more nodes. You can add bloom, you can, this very good, ESC CDL, that has a few presets if you go over here. Then, for example, if you go to cool day, that's cool. So, and then you play with the flick over here, so that makes the picture a bit cooler. Often it will refresh. This is my favorite settings. There are other settings like that one over here. So you can mix that in, so you can make all kinds of combinations like that. You can do a lot in post compositing. These have a bit pixel push, vignette, but I like these two the most. These private contrast is awesome. Then we have this keyframe, I like that, and then we have the ESC CDL, that is safe to use. For example, I showed you the contrast a while ago. Contrast looks like it breaks things. So let's put up the exposure a little bit more like that. I want something crunchy. I don't know if that's the right word, but I like something crunchy and punchy. In my renders, sometimes I add a little bit more of saturation. Yeah, you have the chance to break things with saturation, so you have to be very careful with that. Maybe I can bump it up a little bit, but I think it's cheating, and using saturation is a bit tricky. You need a really good formula for that. Let's see what's the formula here. I'm not sure what I did, but I will double check if that's. Let's go back. There's something more I want to discuss. So now we have seen a lot of things. So I think I showed you almost nearly everything. So we had the camera settings, and now, oh yeah, we had a spot. It's a long word. Spot rig light control. And in future I will call this ambient light control, because those are the lights that controls a bit the ambient light over here. Let's go to the viewport. Go there. You see those lights over here. You see this lights. That's the ambient light because they are bouncing in the cube of indirect light, and then you got a bit nice, yeah, cute shadows. If that's not there, then you get those ugly dark shadows almost. If you render it, then it almost looks like pure black. Oh, then so you got these 8 lights. That is the spot rig. But in the future, I'm going to call this ambient light because that's much easier to digest. So anyway, so if you click on one of these lights, one of these lights, then you see this arrow over here. So that means that this is the thing you can adjust. So let's look at that. So we can change that. I don't see my light over here. Must be somewhere. Oh yeah, of course. Those lights are very high up, like that. So you don't see that. So what we see here, that is the three point light, and that is more to light up your object or your assets. So while there's ambient light, these 8 ones, that is more for the light here and the whole block, like that. So that's that. So that's pretty handy. You can select on that, and then you see the lights, or you can click on the light, and then you see which one you need to control. You can control the light, you can set the size as well. And all I like to do is I put it on 10,000 like that, don't worry. But if you put it on 10,000, it's much easier to slide this around than to slide this all the way down. So I like to put this a high value, and so it's easy to control for me the light over here. That's that. Now, last thing. Let me see if there are questions. There are no questions. So no questions. So I go to the documentation. This is really awesome. So we fix this. So we get here, if you press that one, let's see what happens. So this is done. Within a few seconds you got local documentation. It's very concise, no blah blah. No fuss. So you see installation, prepare the scene, after scene. You see all those menus and random settings. If you click on that, you see directly what you can look that up. So yeah, it's a concise, handy documentation in case you don't know it. But you see, wherever you click on a button in the menu, you see here, you see, for example, light position. You see the tooltip position, the three-point light with grab, G, scale, S, rotate, and for example, it gives an example, press R and then X to rotate on the X-axis, like that. By the way, I want to show you a trick. For example, we have the spot trick control. If I click on light position, and I choose one of the parents, that's this one. If I press R, then it's a bit weird how it rotates. It rotates on the view, but as if I press R and R again, then I can rotate it like that. So I have quite full control. If I press R and then Z, I rotate it on the Z axis. If I press R and then Y, I rotate it like that, R, X, like that. I can even scale it. Scale it like that. So that really works well. That's good. So we are not there yet. So documentation. We have seen this one, that's local documentation. That's PDF stored on your PC. So if you don't have internet, you still can see the documentation. But you can also go click on this button, click on that one, and that brings you over to this page. And here you see some documentation here. You see some videos, overview, EEVEE production suite from start to finish. That's something like this, but this one is more up to date. This video I'm streaming right now on Twitch. And then, if you go over here, so I'm Robert, that's me. I'm founder of New Media Supply, and I started with some add-ons like EEVEE Express, Material Notes Addon, and this EEVEE Express and Morris Gen, and the website blenderaddons.org. But then it was too much work to do, and I couldn't manage to learn and coding and do marketing and do social media, customer support. So that's a really lot of things. So I'm glad Iyad Ahmed, he wants to help me. So if you click on that, Iyad Ahmed, so and then you will find this. It's a profile on Twitter, and he helps me with the coding. So he fixed that. He fixed this thing over here, procedure shaders, and I couldn't manage it to go to this that we have here. Categories, and then we have here all the names, etc. So I'm really happy with that. Then documentation, so you can reach out to us on Twitter. I'm Robert, and Iyad is helping me out. And also very cool, I recommend you to use this button. Let me think if I can use it, because I'm logging into my admin account. So so if you click on that one, you reach something like that, and then it will there we go. So yeah, but where is it? It's over here. So this good. I have to click here. So then there's one Twitch feed. Hey, my Twitch didn't show up here. What's that? Oh, right, it's there. That's good. All right, great. So anyway, so when you click on the Discord button, then you will see something like that. You say, hey, and then your name, welcome to new media supply on Discord. And then you can see the EEVEE Production Suite updates. So if you go over here, that's EPS updates. You see all the updates. So let's start here. I have a welcome. I don't have a rules, so it's just common sense now. You can see some links, and you can give yourself a role. So I'll show you how that works. So you can go over here, you go to member roles, and then you click if you think you are, unless here, an animator. You click this one, animator, and then you will see, yeah, I click then on developer. And then if you go over your profile, then you will see here that you are a journalist, a lighting, or share development. Other people and can say, oh, you're right. Maybe they will contact you like that. So let's go over here. So that's member roles. You can go to the leaderboard. At the moment, I'm number 1, of course, because I made this Discord server, so that's not really fair. The lobby I told you, you can tell something about yourself. You can do a contest. So right now there's a contest for the Eyes of an Ant. It is until August 11, and someone made this with the EEVEE Production Suite and made this with organic assets. No, it's not yet an add-on, but I'll make it an add-on, organic asset, and this is really cool. So I love this picture, the Matrix Marriage Edition, really funny, and this one. So we see here a TED speech. Someone says, organize your time or something, and people say, oh my god, life changing. All right. So yeah, and over here, Paul, you can tell us what product you have like that. Oh, and you see announcement. You can follow announcements. You can see the Twitter feed. You can see the YouTube feed. Hey, and there is me over there. Updates. Viewers. One viewer. I'm guessing. I think I got more viewers like that. Hey. So then EEVEE Production Suite. Oh yeah. If you want support for the EEVEE Production Suite, you can click on here, create a ticket, and you got EPS update. Yeah, you see the updates over here. You can share your work. So I made this, but I'm not really an artist. I like this picture. I think I'm a generalist. I'm not an artist. I need artists who show the work here on this side. If I can get that, I can promote the EEVEE production suite, and the more I can promote, the more engagement there is, I can make EEVEE production suite better, and I can provide you better products. That's what I want. I want to make super good product. Right, and you have here, I made also a course about how to make a living with Blender. So, and yeah, lots more. So that's Discord. I don't want to talk too long about that, but that's that. I think I had it all. So yeah, and you see here teaser. Teaser is very good. I love the teaser. You can bake masks, so you can also bake mask. I'm not going to show that now anymore because that is quite. I mean, this video is already quite long. You see, quick overview, complete live stream. We have seen that one, and yes, I love that one. I wanted this for a long time, and I couldn't find out how to code this. Oh my god. Oh. So that's that. I hope you liked this stream. I think I'm going to put it somewhere on YouTube, maybe also. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, and enjoy. All right. Thank you. How do I stop this video? So I have to go to my OBS. OBS.